Hey everyone, it's Dr. Rick, founder of Herbal 411, and I'm going to do a video on infrared and near infrared as far as the benefits for health. Now, I just found out that Planet Fitness actually has this. This is the thing, and you don't have to get naked to do this, but especially with regards to near infrared, that should penetrate through clothing and skull. One of the benefits, and you can always go on Planet Fitness on the website and then check out which places are near you. I've never done this before. Here I have my own that I have at home, but it's supposed to do this, and I'm just going to put my goggles on, but I'll talk while I'm here. I don't know how this will look. Let's just talk about some of the data points, and we'll start with that. The light spectrum has its wavelengths, short wavelengths and long wavelengths. So short wavelengths are the blue spectrum, and then sunlight eventually gets down to the red spectrum. Blue we know of as ultraviolet. That's what we sometimes use in dermatology offices. The value that I'm going to say is helpful for the talk today is red, and specifically near infrared. Now, even though I have these things on that I got with my cheap box at home, this is how the box looks. I don't know what you're seeing, and data points. The research has been very provocative since 1967. And at that point in time, it was found that near infrared and infrared, mostly laser at the time, showed a benefit to hair loss and muscle regeneration, meaning improvement in muscle soreness. Specifically, when animal models, it was shown that near infrared helped the brain tissue in concussed animals, specifically mice. There's an improvement over the mice as far as getting better with post-concussive syndrome. The ones that had the near infrared did better than the ones that had placebo. There's a statistically significant improvement in animal studies. It's been not so popular with Western medicine, and I don't know why. It seems kind of hokey, and I thought, who cares? I think the alternative medicine doctors, like the chiropractors, they use them a lot, and the non-MDs, the healers, use them a lot. You'll see them being used specifically in musculoskeletal injuries. I believe some physical therapists will use them. But here's the cool points. It's always been available, and the data has shown that using near-infrared exposure, especially to skull, has actually helped improve dementia outcome. Here's the interesting part. I was always skeptical as far as, okay, how does it work? But if you look at the information from Michael Hamblin, Hamblin, he's a doc out of Harvard. He's now in the University of Johannesburg. I think he's emeritus. But he did a lot of data a long time ago that showed the benefits of using near-infrared. And with the advent of science now and breaking down into being able to study mitochondria and using what's called knockout mice, figuring out where in the mitochondrial oxidative phosphorylation you get benefit, it's shown that when you get near-infrared exposure to scalp or skull, and the setup was unusual. It was like a cap with near-infrared LEDs. I think there was a probe that was also put into the nose to accentuate the exposure of the inside of the skull to the same near-infrared light beams, which is really cool. It showed that there are certain macrophages. Macrophages are one of the divisions of the white blood cell system that go around to clean up debris and take care of infection and tumors. Well, some macrophages have this thing called a phenotype that is pro-oxidative or pro-inflammatory. Well, when those macrophages got exposed to near-infrared, they switched their phenotype and became anti-inflammatory. And actually watching the macrophages that switched, they were chewing up tau bodies. Tau bodies are found in neurofibrillary tangles in Alzheimer's disease. Typically, if you have an Alzheimer's patient that dies, you biopsy and study the brain, and they have a whole bunch of plaques and tau bodies, TAU. And these things are kind of like residue of active oxygen species in the brain that are supposed to be cleared up, but they're not, and thus the reason why Alzheimer's patients lose their memory, because of the neurons, they stop working properly because of these sticky plaques. Well, if near infrared is used to turn on these little
macrophages to gobble up the tau bodies, you have an improvement in Alzheimer's disease and dementia. So, and that's a statistically significant result of using near-infrared. I don't know why other doctors, especially memory doctors, don't really enforce this. I do not think that there's an available, I'm sorry, I keep on adjusting these because I can see light coming through, but which brings me to my next point, that you have to worry about the side effects of red light, near-infrared, infrared. And depending on the exposure, and they express wavelengths in nanometers, but they also, using this machine, near-infrared, you cannot feel a burn. Infrared, you might get a thermal heat, like it's getting hot in here. That's why there's a fan, most likely. I don't think you'll have the same burn as along the other side of the spectrum where you have ultraviolet light, but not to the degree of what you would be on the beach. If you look at the other benefits of just using sunlight exposure, because I've talked about light therapy, and it used to be called LLLT, low light laser therapy. And then they call it low light therapy. That's too confusing, so instead of LLLT, it's called photobiomodulation. And photobiomodulation is a practice, and it's accepted standard. It's just that nobody ever does it, except for ancillary healthcare workers. It's a shame that nobody else enforces it, but there is definite use. Now, if you go online, and I went to Amazon, and I'll show you my box in a little bit. I bought this like $36 box that says it has near infrared, and it has a bunch of light emitting diodes that supposedly give a blush or a nanometer wavelength of near infrared. I can't tell. I mean, it could certainly just be, it's just red light. I don't know if it's going to work, but I've been using the one at home to my back. Now that I've been exposed to this, and this is 12 minutes at a time, that's all Planet Fitness will allow. I'll see. I'll do an experiment for the next couple of days to feel if anything else is different. One of the other benefits, aside from turning on macrophages to kill off and eat tau bodies and reverse dementia, is also that the near-infrared can penetrate skull and clothing and stimulate the mitochondria to work better. When you exercise, you turn on mitochondria to make ATP, energy. And then with that, you'll have some byproduct called reactive oxygen species, and that's usually cleared off. The exercise, you get a pulse of it and it goes away. Bad habits, you probably get a huge pulse, and it could cause damage if the reactive oxygen species, also known as ROS, isn't cleared properly. That's why it's really good to exercise. Well, near-infrared also gives a pulse of that. So imagine just standing in this little box for 12 minutes and then having the exposure of near-infrared mixed in with the infrared turn on every mitochondria to my surface. The data says it penetrates skull, it penetrates the skin tissue down to the dermis. But the theory is that it penetrates enough into the bloodstream here in the capillaries and also into the skull, through the skull and into the cerebrospinal fluid, that the fluid carries the theoretical energy elsewhere in the body. There's another hypothesis as well, which makes a lot more sense, that there are mitochondria that are extracellular. That means mitochondria that exist outside of the human cell that float around in the bloodstream, and they get the exposure as they whisk across the surface layers of cerebrospinal fluid and blood tissue or blood serum, and then they get the stimulation from the near-infrared, and with that, the mitochondria actually get stimulated to make ATP. There's these little things in a mitochondria that are responsible for producing energy, and there's 5 of them. And in the electron transport chain, number 4 is actually a chromophore, meaning that it reacts to light, near-infrared specifically. So when this energy wave that is really strong and penetrates through the skin and clothing touches the mitochondria, it will create ATP without even thinking about it. And it also gets rid of reactive oxygen species. So what better way? I mean, you don't even have to exercise. You don't have to exercise. You don't have to eat right. I mean, I'd still do that anyway. You just have to expose yourself to this box or these lights for about 10 minutes. I'd say 5 to 10 minutes daily. And if you need more, it should be more when you have an injury. But if you're just trying to do an experiment to see if this will help with sleep, which is the last benefit, I'd just do it for 2 months. Great experiment. if you're trying to reset your circadian rhythm. So that's the last thing I'll leave you with is that, oh, it's over. So, hey everybody. So this is my setup in my basement, my studio. Then this is the red light panel that I purchased on Amazon for like 30 to 40 bucks. And I don't know if it really emits the right nanometers of near infrared. The LEDs in this panel are supposed to give you a red light. The booth, honestly, is going to be your best bet. If you're one of my patients and you live in Illinois, the body enhancement machine, I think it's called, at Planet Fitness, and not all of them have it, but if you can get a membership for $20 a month, and I have nothing to do with any collaboration of Planet Fitness, I just am a member, but if you can pay for that and try it, and theoretically, I think it's a medical device, meaning the membership and the use of the light box, let's just say that, because there is red light therapy that they use to enhance your exercise, and I think there is value, but the red light also has near infrared potential. That's potential. I have to research a little bit more into the Planet Fitness machine, but I think it's fair to use at a regular, say 3 times a week. So if you go to exercise, then great. If you don't go to exercise, just use the light or body enhancement machine. Just use that and see if it works to change around a couple things in the parameters that I had mentioned. Number 1, decreasing inflammation. Number 2, taking care of injury if you have injury. Number 3, working on memory you might have to have more than 6 months. But number 4, helping with sleep. I think it's fair actually in 2 months to see if it helps with sleep. So if you're one of my patients and you have an HSA, health savings account, I can write a prescription for a membership for the body enhancement machine, or I probably would write it for infrared therapy. And hopefully your HSA will pay for it. I think it's worth a try. So if you're one of my patients, connect with me on the Gethealthie app, and then we'll go ahead and submit it to HSA and see if it gets paid for. If you're not one of my patients, just give it a try. But the thing is, if you're going to try something for a trial, don't do any other changes. Start marking down your own body metrics. I would look into your HRV and your sleep stages. You watch that as you progress through the next couple of weeks. You try to get to the body enhancement red light therapy machine over at Planet Fitness at least 10 minutes 3 times a week. I think that's a fair round of therapy to try, and if it does help with your just seat of your pants feel as far as feeling better from a sleep standpoint, then great. If you don't feel that it improves your sleep, just check your sleep stages, follow your sleep stages, see if your deep sleep and your REM improve over the course of the say 2 months. Also check your HRV and see if that improves over the course of the next 2 months of using that machine there. And if it does, it's worth the investment of continuing. If it doesn't, then you can always cancel your membership. That's my suggestion. If you know anybody that's dealing with dementia or difficulty with sleep or just looking for a gym to work out at, please share this video with them. Otherwise, don't forget my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you at the next video.